Hey, how's it going today? And welcome to the Inder Bains show. We're in episode two. We're here. Last week we spoke about a little bit in regards to, my favorites, politics and sports, and how much I really love it. We spoke about, the love I have for history, learning, reading about it, understanding how the governments ran, how people actually lived their lives back then, and you know, uh, and learning more about where we're at today when it comes to the political life in this world that we live in, especially during these times that we're in. Um, and we talked a little bit about sports, the passion, the love I have for the the NFL, baseball, football, NFL, and then also basketball with the NBA, especially right now with the playoffs that are happening. How I love watching playoffs. So I want to jump in a little bit and talk a little more in regards to how I feel about them and like how I've actually gotten to sports. Um, One of the things that growing up, when school used to be let out from from high school or middle school in the summer, we used to run our own little tournaments with when it came with soccer and volleyball. Um, as a kid, um, the few friends that we had that I had, we would the Punjabi friends I'm saying, we'd get together every day around like 5, 6 o'clock, go to the park, which was Cardington Park in Upper Darby Township, and we'd play either volleyball or soccer, um, depending on the weekdays. On a Sunday, we were always definitely playing soccer, and everybody would get together, like there are adults, um, the Punjabi adults that were in our community. They would all get together, and we'd play, for 2, 3 hours, 2 hours typically. Sometimes it'll go longer depending if we're practicing in the beginning. Um, but we always play soccer. And then when it started a tournament in New Jersey, um, the Sikh Games it was called. And we used to head up there every year. I mean, I think we started in 95 or 96 um, to go to these Sikh Games. And when we were there was other teams there as well. Teams from South Jersey, teams from Central and North Jersey. You had them. There were some teams from New York. The benefit to that was that we got to meet others um, that were part of our community, Punjabi community, the Sikh community in other states, and we got to be friends with them and network with them. And then the biggest thing was um, the tournaments that kind of brought us together to challenge each other and play with each other. And sometimes it was great, but it's a sport, and when you're playing a competing sport, it gets competitive. I mean, hey, it's just it's part of nature, right? It's part of the game, so it happens. Um, but anyway, I started playing those sports, and in Philadelphia, in our community, I think in '99, we decided my elders had decided to start our own tournament here as well, to host another tournament and to invite the teams. And so I started, you know, because it's in my house, right? It's in Philly, and or in Upper Darby, if you want to say. But it's here, and because it was here, you're going to do whatever you want for for your own place, your own city. And I took, me and my friends, we'd all get involved and we'd help out, doing volunteering our time to, start helping wherever it was needed. Whether it was getting supplies um, from the stores or whatever, or soccer balls, volleyballs, whistles, or it was. helping one of the things we always did was our temple always makes food, right? The Sikhi is all about giving free food. We don't we always feel that way. That's the part of the culture, the religion, that langar um, food is supposed to be provided to everybody, and so we get involved and help them out, the guys that made the food, and be a part of that. And with that, when I got into those things, I was just doing it for, um, I guess for the love, I guess, and just to help out everybody. And I think it took me into it eventually led me into getting involved with the actual organizing some of these events, um, with the volleyball tournament, the soccer tournament, and I started with the volleyball, being um, inviting teams, um, was creating a schedule, organizing that, and then um, talking to the soccer side, making sure that there was no the conflicts between the schedules between soccer and volleyball, and basically what that entails too is that, like, I played both sports in the tournament, but I can't play both sports at one time. So we made sure for everybody that and it was that you know that if a few players are playing volleyball and they have to play soccer, we would always make sure that um, to make sure that they could play both sports for every team. We try to make it as fair as possible. And man, I'm telling you, those times there was times they were tough, long. I mean, I used to print out. I'd print out the schedule, and then um, I'd have it all ready, and I would present it, and then tear it up because oh, it kind of it's a conflict over here, and then there's a conflict over there, and a lot of um, a lot of challenging times, a lot of good times. To be honest with you, when I reflect upon it, it was fun. It was very much fun to do those things. And then eventually after that, I got into more of organizing the whole event. You know, getting the permits, contacting the towns. So we basically hosted mostly at Bonner High School or Upper Darby High School, and then eventually we went to Haverford Township with Franklin Fields. Um, uh, and they had the turf field, so did Bonner, but sometimes it would switch around. But contacting the townships, getting the permits, and then getting other things there like tents, restrooms, porta potties, um, getting vehicles, and then being up early on a Saturday morning when the tournament starts around like 9, 8 o'clock. I used to be in the field by 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, only because the tent guys had to show up at that time. They'd come that early to set um probably like 10 or different, like maybe 8 to 10 different tents that we had, and then the porta potties guys show up, had to make sure they put it in place, and then the soccer tents out, sorry, the soccer nets out, apologize about that, get them arranged to make sure that they were properly placed. If not, then we had to do it in the morning, and then also making sure the volleyball nets were up at different make sure when I was on different levels. uh you know there was a lot of challenging times, and it got to me. I I grew into it so much. There was so much passion for it, um to organize those things, because it's an all-day event for 2 days, typically Saturday and Sunday. um we'd have some great matches, but it was more that we had our community come out together to see the kids happy, um, to see the moms, the women getting a break, and be able to enjoy themselves, and mingling with other women, um, and friends, and free food that was being provided, the lunga that's provided for everybody. So there's like no stress. So I think that's what the enjoyment was, just organize these events. Yeah, sure. When when you have teams that are not happy with, official or referee may call, whatever they may call, and you heard those things, but I enjoyed being involved in discussions and trying to find solutions and resolutions for such issues. But it always kept me that way. I've always had that passion to be involved. That's how I got into really, what I watched from the NBA and what I watched from the NFL, and how was I able to apply what I've seen on TV and understand them and learn about them. How I was able to fly over here in my own community. It was, it's good. Lately we haven't really done anything in Philly, in this area, since the pandemic happened. Um, but I still go to a tournaments. We'll go down to Maryland. My cousin, um, he hosts in Baltimore their tournaments. I think theirs is coming up next month, um, in July. I'm just trying to remember the date. I think it's right after Fourth of July weekend. I think the following week of Fourth of July weekend, it's their tournament. And then I'll sometimes go to Carteret, New Jersey. They host their tournaments up there. I like going up to these two areas because it's a great time to be out there and to see others, see other friends that I haven't probably seen in over a year or two, just to hang out with them and talk to them and get a feel for them as well and catch up and stuff like that. And then and get to watch a soccer game over there or a volleyball game. Um, it's always a good time. And the when I got into this, it was more of like, just me being a part of the community and just trying to lead the proper way, the way I felt um, it should be led. Um, and that's how I got into more of community related work, um, where, politically, I would say, just trying to just trying to make sure that, we had a voice. You know, when 9/11 occurred, I was only in high school. I was a senior in high school, and I remember when um, with the loudspeakers, they had I think it was the principal, Mr. Kramer, who came over and stated that you know a plane hit one of the towers, and we were kind of taken back, like confused, like what happened, and we were confused. And I remember when it struck, I we only had a couple minutes left of the first block, and we were all heading into our second block. And my second block class was finance with Mr. Scott. Um, I remember watching it live on TV. I'm like, whoa! And when we got to second block, the second plane hit. Even though they weren't supposed to put this on TV, our TVs weren't supposed to be on, but some of the teachers felt that they couldn't not watch this. And our TV was on in finance class, and we saw that second plane crash into the tower, and like, oh, wow, wow, this is something. And my mom, who uh, who still works with the federal government, she was working downtown, and every federal employee was told to go home, to just get out and go home because nobody knew what was going on at the time. Um, and my dad, who drove a cab at the time, uh, he picked up my mom right away and brought her home. But before he even got there, he told me he was, you know, people cursed him out because they thought he was a Muslim because he wore the turban. The and a couple of community members, they were actually attacked. Um, punched in the face or whatever. Had a black eye. I know somebody had a black eye. And then in Arizona, um, a Sikh man who was working at his gas station, he went outside. I don't know if you guys should remember this. Some of you guys, the older guys would remember this. The younger folks may not. But the old times, the gas stations used to have, when you changed the prices, you actually went out physically and you had this long stick with a magnet, and you would go up there, and with the magnet you would pull each number off and then change it. And this gentleman um, was just doing that, and then he was gunned down while he was changing the sign, and he had nothing to do with it. The Sikhs had nothing to do with this, and but we were targeted at the time because there was confusion. Nobody really knew who the Sikhs were, and it struck me then at that point, um, that yeah, it was weird that how did people not know what Sikhs were? I was It was new to me, to be honest with you. It really was, and I remember at our temple in Melbourne, a couple of the members had gotten together and they called NBC or 6ABC, and they did an interview with them to tell them, "Hey, look, we're sorry, we're feeling this is a tragedy, and but please, this is not us." And I started learning from there. It's like, man, wow, we really don't have an identity. It's crazy, and for me, um, I have my hair cut. I mean, I have a beard today, but back then I was clean shaven, complete. My face was really, I was a young kid. Um, but I didn't wear the turban or anything like that. But I started realizing, my God, nobody knows uh, who are Sikhs basically. And it kind of struck into me that with what had occurred, that I wanted to get involved, um, at least be a voice or something, and try to express ourselves, and to let people know that who the Sikhs are, and where we come from, what our backgrounds are, and what our values are, and what we stand for. I started I got involved that way politically, just being a community activist or an outreach guy, uh, just to get our voices out there, and it worked. It took a couple of years, but it worked. We had you know we started making awareness in our communities, in different communities, sorry, in other communities, and letting them know who we were. We'd attend different events. We'd sit in churches and meet with leaders, church leaders, other community leaders, and speak to them and make awareness. At school, we started doing awareness, um, to some degree, like with friends that didn't even know. We started spreading the word a little bit, who we were, and then and then it got into, like, the biggest one I remember. I think the biggest accomplishment of me at the time was our hospital, which was Delaware County Memorial Hospital. Now it's shut down, but that was our local hospital, in Upper Darby Township. And you think it was in '04. Yeah, '04, when my dad was in the hospital. Um, they had translation in Punjabi available, and then they also had, um, they had some literature that was translated in Punjabi as well. So they had English, and you had Spanish, and you had French, and Greek, and Punjabi, and then eventually Punjabi was on there as well, because they started realizing it as well, that hey, there's another community here that nobody's even talked about, and we started bringing our voices up, and I found that more important to me, and I think that kind of stemmed it into me, that man, I'm achieving things on a higher level, um, that I need to be more involved, and that's where I got into more, you know, community work, whether it's politics, politically stuff, or it's the temple, the Sikh community, stuff like that. I think that's where I got into it a lot more. So when I got into this stuff, when I started realizing how much of a difference I'm starting to make. And hey, I'm a young guy, young kid. I would say I'm a kid because that was 9/11 was when I was what 18, and my dad had passed away in 2004. I was 20, or I was 20, going to turn 21 at the time. Um, but you know, uh, I'm a really young kid, and I'm achieving already on some of these things. It kind of stems. I'm like, wow, I'm having success here. I think I'm going to keep pursuing this, and that's how I got him really involved in a lot of these activities, basically, and and eventually, running a parade. Well, helping to organize a parade to now running a parade for the community, to managing it, overseeing everything, and making sure that we are within our budget, and but also making sure that every aspect of a parade happens like that's supposed to happen. Um, Not easy, but but it's fun. To me, I have fun with it. Could be stressful at times, but it doesn't matter when it's all done, and it's all over with. You realize how much fun you have, and I always have fun with it. Um, but that's how I got into these things, into this community stuff. And and one of the things is rather it might be how much stressful it might be at the time. These events I do, or running for office, or even at work, or dealing with different. There might be some conflicts that may have happened at the temple and other places. One of the things I apply is a lot what the Sikhi religion teaches us, the what our gurus have taught us. To be humble and to be patient, and staying calm uh, when things may get tough, but also at the same time, while I'm staying calm and I may not speak up right away, um, know that when need to be, don't be fearless and don't hold back when it has to be, and I think that's what keeps me going every day. Is that I know what our gurus have taught us, and I totally believe in that, and that's how I apply my life towards it, uh, with those teachings always in mind, and I think that's how I've always gotten ahead on some of these things that I've worked on. It's always fun, like I said, like I mentioned that a couple times on here, how much fun I've had. But it's truly, I honestly, it's always been great. And leading from that, um, that's uh, from those things, it helped me build my character up and be able to eventually run for office. Um, Not success. I didn't win, uh, so it may not be successful there because I didn't win. I lost, but I think it was success in the sense that we actually had a Punjabi Sikh guy actually run for of a state office, you know, um, and we actually had two members prior to me. One was my uncle. Um, he ran for school board. He had he was on the school board. I think he was appointed initially for I forget a year or 2 years, and then he ran for school board for Upper Darby. And then another dear friend of mine, a few years later, he ran for school board as well, um, and he had served for 4 years on the school board. Um, and like last week, I mentioned to you guys that's how I know about school board, the life, the struggles they go through, and what I was saying last week in the first episode about school board, about people running for the board members position. But ended up running, and I think I mentioned last week as well that I ran for office as a state rep. That was a big thing for us to get to a state office. Um, and I found that much more as a success. And we, my community, we did everything for that one. I mean, we made sure we knocked on doors, we fundraised. I went to almost every event, and when I ran for the state office, it was the 164 district, which consisted of Upper Darby, not the township per se. Upper Darby. So Upper Darby consists of Upper Darby Township, I should say, consists of Upper Darby, and then also consists of Drexel Hill. And so the 164 consisted of Upper Darby, um, and then it also consisted of Milbourne, Lansdowne, East Lansdowne, and Yaden. Some part of Yaden. But I made sure I went to every event, any public event that was happening, like the farmers market in Lansdowne. I made sure I was there. I made sure that if there was a block party going on, we were there. Um, uh, the Greek the Greek fair that always happens every year. I made sure I showed up there. And then the Bangladesh parade that they've hosted. Um, I made sure I had attended those events. I made sure, and then I also made inroad connections with different communities as well to secure the votes. And it was about to secure the votes, but it also was about making those connections, whether I won or lost. I wanted to make sure that our communities were together uh, for the longer haul because we're all living here this in the same area. And but anyway, yeah. So I ran for that office, and I think it was the biggest success I had to that because it was a thing that I never thought of. And I was telling my wife back then, it was I was if I had won, it would have been the greatest gift because when I got involved politically, uh, the first thing I had done was I'm trying to remember Mr. Kievsky from my in my senior class. He was our political science teacher, and one of the projects he had given us, or actually, it wasn't a project; it was an extra credit project, and one of the things was to shadow a local politician for I think a week or 2 weeks or something, and we would get extra credit or something like that. So when that happened, I was walking home from the high school, and I was walking on Walnut Street up to Long Lane, and there was an office of State Representative Mary Severa. So I walked into his office, and his secretary or his chief of staff, Joe, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name, Joe, he was there, Joseph, and I mentioned this to him. And he said, "Kid, you want to do something?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to get extra credit. I don't care what you want me to do." So he kind of led me into it, and he allowed me to help out. And what did I do? I just took lawn signs. I put up lawn signs, um, little pamphlets, door hanger pamphlets. I went around, put them up. It was for I think it was about a week or 2 weeks, and every day, the work he gave me, which was really for like an hour, nothing more than that, he'd sign the document, and that I was here on this date from this time to this time, and I did one or two assignments, whatever was given to me, and he signed it, and I handed that over to Mr. Kievsky. I got extra credit. I mean, who doesn't want extra credit at the time in school? And I definitely got it, and that kind of led it. And I'm like, wow. And when I was chosen to run for the 164, I was like, oh wow, where I started from. Just wish I had won. That's the only thing. But hey, it's all right. It's okay. Not bad at all. Um, I'm happy where I'm at. Um, but yeah, so that's how I got into the political world. Just to be a leader, just to make sure my community always had a voice. And I still am active. those things. I have my connections around, and I keep in touch with people. And when there's things that need to be done, I talk to people, and I try to make sure I can work things out to get things done. Because uh, in the community, when it comes to community related things, you got to know politicians, local leaders to get work done around here, and that's just the way it is. So I'm kind of proud of that, of my achievements from there, and you know, I I I pride myself on that. And now, um, that brings me, it, in our Sikhi culture, in our religion, it is stated that we should be, as much as we should be religious, we should also have some hand in politics, not fully to be, deceiving or anything in that sense, because politics can be really, it could go really wrong or really bad. Um, but my trust has always been that if I ever was in politics, I'm doing it for the right reasons, not for selfish reasons or whatever. It's for the communities. It's to bring betterment for the communities, for the residents, and do it the right way, and not to deceive anyone. That's always been my heart, and that's how I always felt about being in politics. And I think that's why it kind of led to for me to be um, in management the last 2 years at our temple. I never thought I would be there either. I always had a thought about it, but I never pursued it because it's a lot of responsibility, I think. But 2 years ago, I was fortunate enough to be in management to help run the Gurdwara system, the operations of our Sikh temple in Upper Darby. There were some troubling times in the beginning because we're so it was just not me. There was uh, there was five of us starting, and one of our members had to resign for his own, I think it was more for his job, his new position he had taken upon. And then there was the four of us, two treasurers and two. So I wasn't a treasurer. We had two treasurers who made sure that they paid the bills and everything else. And then there was two of us who overseen how the system would run. Um, and during that time, we had our own challenges. But you get through those challenges. They may be stressful. Trust me, they're not fun. Um, but you take on what you learn from Sikhi, what the gurus teach us, what the Gurbani, what our holy book, the Guru Granth Sahib, what that teaches us. And I've always learned to be patient and to be strong at times. My patience, and my uncles can tell you, my family can tell you, I don't have a lot of patience. I could just get right at it and let my emotions come right out. But I've learned that, and my uncles have taught me um, that and they still tell me I need to be patient. I think I've done a good job on it, but I guess there's, more to learn from, and there could be more fixtures there. I guess I don't know. Um, but hey, uh, but I like I said, like I've learned how to be patient there and to be strong when I need to be strong, and and get things done for everybody. But I was blessed, to be honest with you, that I'm able to do all these things. And well, the biggest support is my family. My wife, my daughter. Um, it's not always fun. It's not always easy, but they still support me um, through the things I've done. over the course of my time, and um, which is good for me in a sense because it keeps me going, um, and I can't do nothing without them, and I'm just happy they that they supported. It may not, it's we have our times. It could be challenging, but at the end, we're still we still work with each other, make things happen. But yeah, anyway, like so, what I was saying was I've been really blessed with a lot of projects, a lot of things over the past 25 years that I've been able to do. Well, that's a long time. Um, and I continue to want to be doing other things now. With this podcast, I'm actually happy that I can start and sharing my um my views and things, my experiences, and things that I've gone through with you and everybody that's listening in, if anyone wants to listen in. But I'm actually happy that I can share these the views with everybody out there on on YouTube, on Spotify, and Apple Podcast. So it is very interesting, to be honest with you. 25 years has been great, and I look to do more. I look to do better and go even further, um, and do bigger things. And but here's podcast. I think this is a big thing in itself. To me, be talking to you in this camera, in front of this microphone, I think that's big. Um, to share my views and everything. So yeah, so this is how my world has been in the past 20, 25 years. What I've been doing ever since I graduated from high school back in 2002. I graduated. Um, so these are the things that we have. Um, and going forward, I don't know if I'll run for another office. I really don't. I don't think so. Maybe, if it comes around, if an opportunity arises and uh uh, you know, it approaches me and I may do it. I may. I think I don't mind it, to be honest with you. Um I think it would be good for me to do it again. Um it's just when I think about it sometimes, man, the work that has to go into it, the fundraising and asking people to support you financially, and then also asking people to support you by volunteering their precious time, taking their time away for my cause. It's to me personally, it's a little I think it's tough because I can give my time up, but man, it's hard to ask for others to give their time up for me. It's something with me. I don't know. But anyway, when I look into those things, I think about, oh man, gotta do this. All right. And so when I think about it, I'm like, man, there's a lot of work involved. But hey, listen, if the opportunity does arise, trust me, I probably won't hesitate. I'll probably think about it and maybe, and if I'm in the right set, if I'm in the right place, I'll probably definitely run for another office spot, and hopefully, I'm 0-2 right now because I ran in 2016 and 18 for the same spot against Margaret Davidson. But I hope to not to be 0-3. I hope to be 1-2 somewhere and start winning some of these elected seats. But we'll see if that ever if the opportunity arises. We'll definitely look at that. Um, because I do like to be involved in uh in government, and I like to be involved building policies and actually working for the community and actually interacting with a lot of people. I like like sharing ideas and sharing views and understanding other people's views as well, and try to get an idea as grasp their ideas and try to see it from their side, how they see the world or how they see a certain topic, and get their vision and then apply it and to me and see how that fits basically, um, and then find a center ground, a middle ground, I should say, and come on and work something together basically. I don't know. I like it. I don't know why. Don't ask me. I don't want to answer it. It's just something in there with me. Um, and my wife sometimes tells me, she's like, "Man, you really spend your time on these things." And I'll be like, "Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous when I could be doing other things, but like going to the gym and actually working out, to lose not to work out my arms or whatever. I could definitely do that, but really to lose the weight, which you know I'm a big guy struggling there, but whatever. But yeah, so like I said, like I could be doing those things, but there's something in there where I love it. It's a passion of mine, and I like to be involved somehow and to uh help in a way where we resolve issues and problems and whatever. And yeah, I think that's what makes me feel proud. I think people that are truly into into being government, um the ones that are really into it, that are true about it, I think they're truly about that as well, that they want to, the issues that may be there, they want to find a way to resolve it and be a part of the solution rather than be on the other side of it. And I think that's a lot of people. I think that's a lot of good people out there, and that's one thing that I want to. That's why I like being a part of it, is to be a part of the solution, find it, work it out, and make it happen. And because I think the biggest thing is to see people smiling and people feeling good about themselves. I think I find more pride in that, than anything, that others are happy. Um, and that might come from my mom, who was always like this, where she helped a lot of people. My dad was definitely like this. Um, when he was around, he always helped uh, anyone that was in trouble. Rather, he may not have a dollar in his pocket, but he may not have enough for himself, but he'd give his money up for others to help them out to get by, and he'd figure it out on his own. Um, that's just the type of guy he was. Um, and my mom was also the same. I mean, my mom's still around. Well, I shouldn't say was, but she's still around. But she's always been like that too. And I guess I get uh, that little thing from them that makes me this way. Um, but yeah, so it is something uh, that I wanted to share with you guys today on this episode, to talk a little bit more about me and how I come from, where I come from, and how I am, and like what I have done in the past 25 years with my life, other than just working. Um, so my jobs always has been various. It's been very unique. Working with different. I started off working with banks at Bank of America, and then ended up getting into uh, working with Bank of America for many years down in Newark, Delaware, and then eventually starting as a customer services person, and then moving on up into fraud, and then transitioning over to other banks like HSBC, Wells Fargo, work in their compliance departments, the anti-money laundering departments, different views, different ideas. That was for many years. That's where I was until I started working with Delaware County, and I think I have it great here. Working with the county government, doing different projects with them. Um, it's been unique and it's been interesting, but it's been fun, to be honest with you. And you know, to me, I wouldn't change it anyway, the way I've had it. So I've been pretty, like I said earlier in the beginning of this, I think I've been always blessed. I've been blessed to be able to take this path. Um, yeah, so this was episode 2 of the Inder Bains show. We'll be back next week um, with a new episode, and we'll talk about a little more about other things that are going on. Just a quick thing. The NBA has gotten very interesting. The Pacers, man, Pacers. They're surprising. I didn't between the Knicks and the Pacers, I thought the Knicks were a better team, but surprisingly, Indiana, Halliburton. I mean, uh, they're chiming away. They're leading the series right now, 3-1, and it's been very interesting that series over there. So if tonight, sorry, today's Thursday, if that game is on tonight at 8 o'clock, you could probably see a Midwestern showdown between um, Oklahoma City versus Indiana in the NBA Finals. And that's basically saying that, man, um, you won't see one of the prime areas in the finals. When I mean prime, the big market areas like New York. New York hasn't been in a long time playoffs, so but I mean they're in right now, and there are opportunities here. We'll see what happens, but Boston's been in. That's a big market, right? L.A., the Lakers, right? They're always in the conversation. Golden State has been in the conversation for the past 10 years. That's another big market. Um, but yeah, they're not. None of those teams, none of the big market teams, uh, are. They may not be in the uh, the finals. With Oklahoma City winning on the Western end. Um, and I mean, they were playing the Timberwolves, so the Timberwolves wasn't from. They weren't either from a big market either. So you knew from the Western end it was going to be a big market team anyway. Um, but Oklahoma City's here, and now we have Indiana and New York, and with Indiana knocking on the door to close the series out tonight, and and being in there in the finals against them. So it'll be a central of the country, where the two cities sit right there. They'll be fighting each other out, facing it off, which will be very interesting to see. I'm excited, to be honest with you. These are young players that are what they're not considered all stars, I guess, and they're proving themselves to be the leaders, the future leaders of of the league. It's very exciting to see. So that's happening tonight, basically. Um, so look out for that. Um, I'm I'm excited. NFL wise, um, nothing really happening right now in the NFL world. This is May. Uh, there are camps. I think next month we'll start seeing camps opening up slowly, and then man, in a few, we're only 2 months. Wow, no, I think, yeah, I think we're like 3 months away from the NFL season to kick off because they start in September. We're in this May 29th today. So June's here. June's right here next door. It's knocking on the door. So we're only a couple months away from the NFL to start. So that'll be exciting to watch. Um, to see if the Eagles can go back to the Super Bowl, which, man, their chances are really good. Their schedule is not that great. Um, that came out this year. The schedule is tight. Um, so it does go. The schedule does go against a little bit against them, but the way that team is set up, as the team is built, and their core group of guys on both on offense and defense, um, I think they'll be able to pull through. Um, It might not be pretty, um, but I think they're going to pull through, and I think they will definitely be um, far into the playoffs. I could see them getting back to the Super Bowl. Um, but the Lions were a great team last year. Um, they did some great things uh, up until the end when they had lost out. Um, the Rams, surprising they man, the Eagles almost lost to the Rams if you think about the playoffs. If it wasn't for that one play by Jalen Carter to disrupt Matthew Stafford throwing that ball to the end zone, that was a play that did it basically. Or if Stafford had connected, uh, that was probably game over for the Birds, and that would have been their season. But so the Rams are surprising um, in the NFC. Um, it'll be interesting to see how the Niners turn out to be. This year, Brock Purdy just got a contract extension, signed a new deal with the Niners. So that'll be very interesting. In the NFC East, to be honest, you got Washington is going to look good. They should definitely look good. Um, they were they were competitive enough. They got a young quarterback that looks very promising for them and their team, especially when now that they have new ownership there. Um, that they have the new ownership. I'm trying to remember his name. I should Josh Harris. Sorry, I should know the name. The guy who owns the Sixers too. Can't do nothing for the Sixers. Um, but he's definitely all in on the Redskins. But anyway, yeah. So with new ownership, new leadership there, they look very promising on their end. And then you got the Cowboys and the Giants. Giants, they got four quarterbacks they picked up this off season. So shouldn't be able to go wrong there, but it's the Giants. Who knows how they're going to be? And then the wonderful Dallas Cowboys that they with Jerry Jones leading the way, they always find a way. They always find a way to be relevant in the news, you know. But man, that team can never get it on straight, no matter what happens. And uh, that team is just going to have this. That they're just going to continue to be the way they are, that they have always been in the past 20 some years now since they won their last Super Bowl. It's just what it is. It's Jerry's world, as they say it. But yeah, that's the NFC East. So I think out of the NFC East, definitely the Eagles are going to win. Um, uh, maybe the Commanders. Washington gets close to it, maybe, but I still think the Eagles will be the top seed out of the NFC, and then um, and then I think I see them going all the way to the Super Bowl. I see them. It might be a little rough, but I think they will get there. I feel that way. On the AFC side, it's hard to tell, to be honest with you. I don't think the Chiefs are going to come back. I just don't see it happening, especially the way they got manhandled, which is great to watch against the Eagles. I don't see them coming back. They'll probably be in the playoffs, but I don't see them uh, being in the Super Bowl. Um, on the AFC side, to be honest with you, it could be it could be Buffalo. Um, I thought it should have been them last year, but I guess it looked like they got burnt out a little bit there at the end. But it could be Buffalo coming in, or I have hopes on the Bengals with Joe Burrow leading the way. I think I still have hopes on him on that team there. I know the team, they're the leadership there. Their focus is on different things there, and it's weird. And they should be building around Joe Burrow um, and making that team better um, and getting the surrounding pieces that he needs. It's weird, but I think they'll get it this year. They may be making a good run in the playoffs. So I still have hopes on that. Other than that, my cousins in Baltimore, they're always raving about the Ravens, Lamar Jackson and them. I don't get it, to be honest with you. They had their running back, and they still couldn't. How they could not win or come away with that? I don't understand. I've always told my cousins, man, I think, dude, I always say that um that they end up choking um at the playoffs. Sure, they're great in the regular season. Lamar Jackson, he's great at what he does, and Derrick Henry being their running back, the powerful running back coming in. You know, they had a great season, but I've always said that, man, the Ravens just can't hold it up. They just can't. Not in the playoffs. Not in the playoffs. They burn out. Lamar Jackson always burns out at the end. Um, I want to say he chokes, but man, it's pretty close to it. Um, so I don't see Baltimore. I mean, if they do show up, if the Baltimore Ravens show up to the Super Bowl, if they make it, I'm not going to be surprised. But I'm going to say they should have showed up. They should have been here with all the hype and all that successful seasons they've had. Regular seasons they've had. So they should have been there. But if they do show up, but if they don't show up, haha, I don't expect anything out of them. So, but yeah, so that's where I see some of these teams on the who may be in the Super Bowl next year. It'll be interesting to watch other teams see how they form. Because like the Lions, right? They were a surprise last year, the success they had. And we might see another team that might have success next year, uh, which will be good to see, good to watch. Um, but yeah, that's the NFL, and I'm excited for the Phillies with baseball. I think I know they started out great in the beginning, and then they went through the rough patches again, and it seems like they're getting back to it again. It's not always easy, you know. The wins are not always easy, um, but it's a long season. It's 182 games with them, and they're playing almost every other day. If not every day, they're playing every other day. They only get like a break in between somewhere before they go into the next series. But I think um, if everything starts gelling by in July, August, I think that's when you'll see the Phillies are going to get red hot. It's again with them. I think they need to pick up on the small game. The one thing that bothers me, I think, and I think a lot of people, it bothers a lot of people in this city, is that they like to go swing for the home runs. They want to swing it all the way. It's really exciting when they do hit the home run. It is exciting. Who doesn't love a home run to be hit? But it's the Phillies a couple years ago when they barely got in, um, and they made it to the World Series. It wasn't the big home runs that did it for them. I mean, they were there. I mean, they were there. They're spectacular, uh, just exciting. But it was a small plays they did. Just hitting that ball and the small ball, hitting those balls, just getting a base hit, stealing the bases, just hustling and running, um, and not caring in the world, and just doing the small things. That's what made that team so successful that they got to the World Series. Because no, they didn't. They weren't predicted by anyone to be even in the playoffs. I mean, they squeaked by against the Cardinals, I believe it was, to get in. Um, so they had gotten in, and they did a great. They they made it great that season, and the love for baseball in this town was back with that, and it hasn't gone away. But the years after, they kind of started trending backwards. They made it to the World Series, they lost. Then they made it to the championship the following year, they lost. And I think last year, I think they were out by the divisional round. So, and watching those games, they're always swinging hard to get that home run. And I think they're starting to really gel in the sense that they got to refocus themselves to play the small ball just to get on base somehow. And doesn't matter. Forget about get the home runs when the opportunity arises. Go swing for it, but really try to get on base and help each other out. Um, and with that, gives the pitchers more time to rest their arms. So I think they're getting that, and if they start pushing that way, that's a frightening team. The Phillies are. They're very frightening. They could be very frightening, and we're all for it. And I'll be proud. I mean, it's going to go nuts around here if the Phillies get in. If the Phillies get in and they win, and we just had the Eagles win a couple months ago, man, this town is going to be lit. It is going to be lit, and it's going to be fun to be in this city. So fingers are crossed that the Phillies could do something tremendous there. Um, when it comes to going from there, like I mentioned, the Flyers are, you know, unfortunately they're not in the playoffs. They haven't been in the playoffs for many years now, but they're working things out. They're hoping to be able to somehow get a new goalie. Because the goalie is basically the quarterback per se, yeah, in hockey. If you have a great goalie that could block shots and stop shots, um, then everything else works itself out with the other players on defense and offense. And I think that's where the Flyers are at. I think that's what they're looking to do is find that right goalie and um, and be able to get back into a rhythm and trying to get this team back on the right track to get them into the playoffs, at least into the first round, and start building from there. So we're hoping to see that. With the Sixers, nothing really going on there yet. Um, Other than the draft, they drafted number three, so they had a good draft. Um, Embiid is still out. Uh, he's not going to be playing this upcoming season anyway. So it'll be interesting to see, where the Sixers may go with this. Um, really haven't heard much, and um, there hasn't been really any news out of them what the plans are for the future with Daryl Morey and everybody else involved. So we'll see. Yeah, it's kind of disappointing because the Sixers could be something. They could have. Uh, some of the decisions they made, man, it's tough, man. It's tough to even know they made these decisions. And, we're not there, we're not sitting there, and we're not in those boardrooms to listen in or to be a part of the discussion. So, I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but I'm pretty sure that, um, but looking from the outside in, like, man, some of the decisions were probably wrong what they made. Like, they should have gave that contract to Jimmy Butler and he could have been right here, and we could have probably could have been in the championship in the following year after we had lost to Toronto. Um, so it kind of hurts when you look at that because there's been a lot of time and energy that has been spent on the Sixers, and man, um, and it's always been that we could have never get out of the second round of the playoffs. So that's the most hurtful part of it. To see your team down like this. So we'll see how they come about and see what they come with. Um, but thank you for everyone to be joining on this episode too. A lot of it we talked about was about me, and I talked to you guys about a lot of what I came up with. Next week we're gonna bring some more. We'll talk a little bit about other things that has been going on in society, basically. One of the things I wanted to open up with you guys and let you know is that I will start trying to do uh, like 15-minute uploads, 10-minute uploads, just to keep you guys to share my views and expressions and opinions on some of the things that may be going on, especially like with the NBA, like how it is, and other related things. So I look to be doing that and doing the 10-minute segments through podcast, through Spotify, and maybe YouTube as well. But check that out as well. So check my YouTube page out, the Inder Bains Show, on YouTube, and also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, The Inder Bains Show. Thank you guys for joining in. Thank you guys for listening to me going on for over an hour now. Listen, if you please, honestly, give me some feedback, give me your comments. Like I said, I'm the one, like I told you guys last week, I am one single person that is doing this. Give me a little bit more here. Give me some time. Where I'm going to make sure this gets even better with every episode. But I want some feedback as well. If you guys can provide it, that'd be great. It just will help me to deliver. And if you guys have any comments, share with me. I want to know your comments. I want to know what's on your mind and what you think. But definitely anything. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. I'll see you guys next time.